Welcome to Burning Straw Man. Today's topic is the hypocrisy of the left. Leftists combat fascism and tyranny, but I would argue that they are the ones who are promoting it. For instance, they love to attack free speech. Any speech which goes against the progressive agenda is labeled as bigoted or fascist. For example, if I take the position against open borders and say that illegal immigrants should be sent back to their home country, I might be called racist against Mexicans. Or if I were to take the stance that abortion is morally reprehensible and I don't believe in pro-choice, I might be labeled as misogynistic. Also, because I am a white male with so much privilege, I don't have any say or perspective in topics such as oppression or racism. Now look at racism. Racism may exist within the minds and actions of certain individuals or small groups, but we live in a free country. Racism does not happen on a national, bureaucratic, systematic level. There's also an attack on free speech within the political arena. There is a greater prevalence of identity politics now than there ever has been. And identity politics are a problem. Not only do they create more sectarianism, but it also creates a double standard. For example, black people may coalesce around a certain group, such as Black Lives Matter, or LGBT members may coalesce around a certain political party or ideology. And essentially the argument is that if you don't support us, you are bigoted or racist. However, if you yourself aren't black or LGBT, you don't have a say in Black Lives Matter, for instance. And if you try to identify with us, for example, if I were to wear a sombrero and try to identify with the Mexican culture, or I grow out my hair, wear dreads, baggy clothes, and listen to rap music, try to be like one of the homies, I might be labeled as committing the sin of cultural appropriation. So essentially, what happens is these groups want you to become their puppet. They want you to think, act, speak in the way that they want you to. Otherwise, you might be labeled as a Nazi. Now, not only should your speech be in favor of the progressive agenda, but any speech which is conservative in tone or traditionalist is also considered an anathema. For example, speakers such as Ben Shapiro will go to a campus and be labeled a Nazi sympathizer, which is hilarious because Ben Shapiro is a self-proclaimed practicing Jew. Also, there is this rise in safe spaces, which also is to the advantage of liberal progressive speech, because any speech which is not inclusive, which is inflammatory in any way, goes against the laws of the safe spaces.
I want you to know, as much as we want you to learn, we also want you to be comfortable. So, class, if any of you feels uncomfortable at any point during this course, I want you to yell out, "Milk and cookies," and our graduate students here will take care of you.
Hi. Hello.
So, just to make sure we're all on the same page, let's give it a go. Repeat after me. Milk and cookies.
Milk and cookies.
Milk and cookies.
Jesus!
Now, class, some people don't understand what a trigger warning is, but I know what a trigger warning is, and I've got my finger on the fucking trigger, and I will keep this a safe space.
They will also regularly abuse the Constitution, both in terms of the restraints it puts on government and the freedoms it affords citizens. For instance, they like the idea of larger government control by socializing healthcare, and they also push to take away Americans' Second Amendment gun rights. There is an inherent difference in philosophy between conservatives and liberals in how they view the Constitution. Conservatives generally view it as an important safety net against government abuse, whereas liberals typically view it as an impediment towards government achieving perfection. For them, the ends justify the means. If they can pass effective legislation in immigration, climate change, then trampling over the Constitution is an important means to achieve that. They will also demonize people who hold a traditional view of the Constitution, such as they did with the Tea Party movement. Now, their view of the Constitution is none more evident than in their socialist agenda. Socialism is antithetical to the values the Constitution holds. If there's anything the 20th century has taught us, it's that socialism is evil and does not work. Socialism incentivizes laziness, corruption, complete submission to authority, whereas capitalism incentivizes hard work, innovation, creativity. We can see through the failed regimes of Stalinist Russia, Communist China, we can see the current example of Venezuela, that socialism does not decrease wealth disparity, but increases wealth disparity, increases violence, increases hardship.
Madam Speaker, where specifically does the Constitution grant Congress the authority to enact an individual health insurance mandate?
Are you serious? Are you serious?
Yes, I am. Absolutely.
Institutions of higher learning, such as these ivory tower universities, are also very biased in their ideology. In the very revealing book, Why Professors Are Liberal and Why Do Conservatives Care by Neil Gross, it reveals that there is a bias when it comes to hiring conservative professors versus liberal professors. And it also reveals that those who are conservative professors feel that they cannot reveal their true political affiliation for fear of ostracism, even losing their jobs. Now, this intimidation factor not only happens on a subtle level, but it also happens on a gross, violent level. You can see with organizations such as Antifa that they repeatedly use violent means to silence conservative voices. They are often responsible for violence at Trump rallies and different conservative functions. They're a domestic terrorist organization, and a lot of what they do is applauded by leftists as a sort of justice porn.
What's the way to defeat the Nazis in the U.S.?
Violence. Trotsky said it best. Find your Nazis, beat them, take them of their Nazi paraphernalia, and then leave them alive, hurting and bleeding in their cowardice.
Same way we dealt with them in World War II. Kill them.
So it's obvious that the left is full of contradictions. None is more hilarious than their support of Muslims. Now, there's over 1 billion Muslims, and many share different views. However, a vast majority support Sharia law, which is antithetical to the liberal values that support homosexuality, a woman's right to have an abortion, women's liberation. So to conclude, in setting a progressive agenda, the left is actually bringing America closer and closer to a tyrannical government. In the attempt of trying to protect those who are being oppressed, they're actually oppressing other Americans. For one, as an American, I say, if the violence is being brought in trampling the Constitution and trying to take away our fundamental rights, then it is our duty to defend them by whatever means is necessary. Thank you.